Hey everybody, welcome to RunLeadGen Radio, your go-to podcast for digital marketing and SEO with your hosts Quinn
and Brian.
And today we want to talk about all things sales cycle, ROI, and ultimately making money on your bottom line.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So understanding your cost per acquisition, customer lifetime value, and being able to measure those across channels is a hard task for some, but super important to be able to make good decisions.
Yeah, I would say one of the things that we see a lot, especially from clients that have worked with marketing agencies in the past, is they just don't have the granularity on where their money is being best spent, and ultimately that can cause frustration and confusion on where to spend their time, effort, and money moving forward.
Yeah, I can't even count the number of projects where at the lead level, there's no attribution. So you might have Google Analytics or some conversions set up that you're tracking, but at the actual lead level and calculating true return on investment for actually closed deals, it's not super common to have in place for a lot of businesses.
Yeah, so maybe let's start from the beginning. That's a good place to start. How do we first identify, what our market is, who our market is, where to meet that market, and what to hit that market with as far as like the offer we're putting out. Let's say I'm a new business owner. I want to increase sales to my bottom line. Where do I start?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I would say the first and most important thing is understanding your audience's pain points and how you solve those. So, what is it that you actually do to bring value to address those pain points?
Yeah. Yeah, to really dive into what it is that you solve as far as the problem that's out there, right? So for us, we often hear people say, well, gosh, I just can't get my sales cycle figured out. I don't know what my offer is. So really what we're talking about in today's podcast is the problem that we solve for our clients. And we pass that on to you, business owners that are listening. You've got to identify exactly what are those pain points that they just can't get past, that they're sitting in, that they're festering in, that you essentially come in as the hero to fix, right? Start with that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And understanding that is going to help you take those first steps. Understanding that will help you get to a point in having the data you need for your sales cycle to adjust attribution windows for campaign optimization, all the way down to having the data per channel so that you can make data-driven decisions on your marketing.
Yes. So let's break this down really simple. When we say sales cycle, what are we talking about?
So we're talking about the process from the time a lead comes in until they become a client. So whether that's e-commerce and someone becomes aware of your product to the point where they actually make the purchase, or for a more complicated or service-related business, maybe someone that's becoming problem aware and going all the way down from the top of the funnel to the bottom of the funnel and then purchasing.
Yeah, so I would say in addition, like when you're thinking sales cycle, you just need to put yourself in the place of a person from the many different places that they can engage with you, that they might be with their intent, right? So whether that be channel related, right? Are your target market or target audience on Facebook? Are they on Google? Are they driving their car? Where is this person? And where are you most likely to find them? And then from that point, where are they going to be as far as aware of your solution, and how can you get them, to from A to B, the easiest, the best, and obviously the most effective?
Yeah, that is extremely important. We actually talked to an auto mechanic today that was getting some feedback from other mechanic shops that they'd been doing Facebook advertising and it just wasn't making any difference in their business. And for a mechanic, that might be okay for some brand recognition, but really people that need a mechanic aren't just waiting for an ad to pop up on Facebook.
Yeah, in this particular situation, right? This particular potential client is saying, hey, I need people who have been, diesel truck drivers who have broken down on the road. You can imagine, obviously, those people are not searching Facebook for the solution to come fix their diesel truck in the middle of a crisis on the road passing through your area. Whereas, a Google ad or a local service ad, or even more importantly, SEO, right? Search engine optimization for those local map packs. That's where those people are going to be looking for that service at that time, right?
Exactly. And that's going to help him decide, okay, what are the channels I need to invest in to get in front of my audience where they are? And so it all starts with that initial research into the sales cycle and where their customers are.
Great. So let's break down two more really important acronyms that are going to be crucial for business owners to understand while evaluating whether or not they need to be doing marketing or how they're going to get out there and solve people's problems. And those two acronyms are LTV and CAC, right?
Yeah, let's start with CAC. So that is customer acquisition cost. So this is knowing per channel, ideally, how expensive is it for you to get someone that is now become a lead or is into your marketing list, just depending on what you're considering a customer. At that point, that's going to help you know two things, actually. So that can help you calculate both cost per lead and customer acquisition cost. And so, yeah, the first one that's very important is customer acquisition cost. The second, LTV, do you want to explain that one a little bit?
LTV, lifetime value. So this is what they are worth. Any acquired customer is going to be worth to you over the course of their time with you. So there are a handful of ways to calculate lifetime value, but typically we want to look at what they're purchasing, right? And how long on average you can keep that purchase happening. So it looks different for everybody. For us, if we have an average rate that we see across all of our clients that we take on a monthly basis, and then we have an average month count that we can anticipate we can keep a client based off of our ability to fulfill well. And that would give us a rough idea of our lifetime value.
It can be a little bit hard for us to calculate. I don't want to brag too much right now, but so far we have a really good track record and don't quite have numbers to see when a client would be leaving us, because that's just not really happened yet.
Yeah. Our fulfillment rate and we just haven't seen a ton of attrition. Now, we've been around for 2 years, and obviously attrition is going to happen, or the loss of clients, but certainly ours is a little trickier to pin down right now. But that is the point, right? We want to get a good idea of what a client is worth to you so that you can juxtapose that to what it costs to get them. Obviously, if it's going to be costing you, $500, $1,000 to get a client that's only worth to you at the life of their entire customer journey with you is going to be, worth $300 or $500, that's not going to work, right? So as we anticipate cost per acquisition and then lifetime value, we get a good idea of what we're willing to spend, which can also give us direction on where to spend or where to go to buy those clients.
Yeah, it's an extremely important step, because now once you have that customer acquisition cost, and especially when you're able to nail that down by channel, you have the data you need to scale and really grow your business.
And really, this is something that we try to tell our current clients. This is what we try to tell prospective clients. This is not something that many other agencies or partners that you might work with will help you do. In fact, this is not something that a lot of business owners really know how to do. If you've ever watched Shark Tank, I love to watch Shark Tank. Even back to 2009 up until some of the recent seasons, people, Kevin O'Leary or one of the other sharks will ask, well, what's your client acquisition cost? What does it cost for you to get a client? And so many times business owners are just deer in the headlights, right? I don't know. And that's such a bad place to be. That's a bad place for you as a business owner to come to the table with data and make data-driven, educated decisions moving forward. Really, if you can't answer that question, that's one of the first things you should do right now is go identify what somebody is worth to you and what you would be willing to pay to get them. And then you can start to say, well, gosh, now I see why, marketing or marketers cost what they do, or now I can calculate that into my sales cycle and understand what I'm willing to pay a marketer to help me.
Yeah. So let's really quick talk about some of the tools that it's going to take to help you get that customer acquisition cost figured out.
Yeah, I would say one of the top tools, and a lot of agencies will start with something like this. Google Analytics, obviously, web analytics, the ability to see what's happening online and to track those events that are taking place inside your sales cycle. This is a must-have, but all too often it's maybe the only thing that is done, and it's done rudimentarily. Because we could have a whole web or podcast episode on Google Analytics alone. Just because somebody says they're analytics certified does not mean that they're all created equal. There are so many layers to expertise in Google Analytics.
That's very true. And one of the things with Google Analytics is if that's where you are capturing how much revenue came in from a client or when someone actually becomes a customer, an important piece that's missing there is ad spend. So for analytics, you do have a connection for Google Ads to get an idea of ad spend for a conversion. However, for Facebook and organic, this is something where you're going to have to take that data and kind of connect some of the dots yourself, unless you have other tools in place to help you take that next step.
And so many times we hear business owners or even other agencies say things like, well, this is out of the box. And I'll tell you now, anybody that's telling you that all of this is out of the box doesn't understand. It's a little bit over their heads, because there's so much that goes into helping you get the granularity to your attribution model that really it takes somebody like us to help you get there. So that's not saying that that's the only way to do it. Obviously, you could learn some of this yourself. This podcast, we will talk more about setting up, custom events through things like either the code right on a site or using tools like Google Tag Manager. But ultimately, yes, you should be tracking online events, and you should not stop there. And that brings us to really the next step, which is, what is your CRM, your client relationship management tool? Where are these now bottom of funnel or at least converted leads going? And do you have attribution to that level so that you can watch the sales cycle inside a pipeline and get your ROI, right? Because we've talked a little bit, and that's another acronym we haven't brought up, but ROI, or return on investment. You want to now see when somebody converts to actually pay you money by channel, so that we can get not only the granularity of that cost per acquisition juxtaposed to lifetime value, but we can do it by channel, like Brian was talking about.
Yeah, and that is a really important tool for business owners to get in place if they don't have it. Obviously, a lot of these CRMs come with additional functionality. They're going to help you nurture and convert leads into customers, but that can be a really good place to help you organize your data and get reporting at an aggregate level of what is the revenue that you're bringing in from each channel.
Yeah, and we will say a little plug for ourselves. The CRMs are a dime a dozen. There's a lot of them out there, and frankly, they can get really technical. And so, if you're working with some of the big guys like HubSpot or Salesforce, it can be very time-consuming or expensive to either hire somebody to manage that for you or to do it yourself. Just so that we put ourselves out there, we do have a CRM platform that is ours that is so intuitive, so easy to use, and we do it for you. So as far as bang for your buck, we more than compete with those big guys out there and can really make it easy for you to get that attribution level.
Yeah, that is a great and necessary plug if you're not wanting to sign long-term commitments with places like HubSpot, or have a bad onboarding experience where you're learning how to implement tracking numbers and implement thank you pages and things like that on your own. So,
and gosh, you're getting upsold, a la carte, one thing after the other, and all of a sudden you're now $10K a month because you got to have multiple users. It just gets ridiculous. So anyway, if you need help with CRMs, that's a really great service that we offer. One of the best bang for your buck services, because it's just so easy for us to do for you.
Yeah. Now, once you have that data, obviously, in a perfect scenario, you have some type of dashboard or reporting that lets you see for different time frames or per channel what your costs and what your revenue was. If not, you can at least still take the data that you now have and connect some of those dots yourself. But this is kind of step one into now you have customer acquisition costs by channel. And maybe we should talk a little bit about what that allows you to now do.
Yeah, so ultimately, if we can get down to that cost per acquisition by channel, that's going to enable us to say, well, gosh, we're getting a far better return on our investment from X channel versus Y channel, and that's going to let us now turn it up, right? We can fuel that channel with more funds to be able to scale.
Yeah, really important. And the other great thing about this is now that Facebook campaign or Instagram campaign you were running, if it wasn't bringing you back any return, it's going to help you save some costs as well. So,
yeah, ultimately the big takeaway that we want to communicate here is so many people we talk to are saying, gosh, they got burned by marketing, or it didn't work. And frankly, that's probably because of just bad marketing, because there's so many people out there that are just kind of winging it or taking a whack at it. And really the indicator to you as a business owner that is going to allow you to know that it might be a valuable opportunity to join forces with a marketing team is to first identify your cost per acquisition. Get a good idea of what it costs for you to acquire a client, and what are those clients worth to you. Get a good idea of those numbers, and then the pieces will start to make sense, and you're going to say, okay, I'm willing to pay up to $500 to get a roofing client who's worth $10,000 to me. Well, now when we come to the table and say, look, to run your marketing services, it's going to cost this and this, you're saying, oh, I see now how we get to that $500 threshold and how it's still valuable to me, because that's a well-oiled machine. We like to say it's kind of like a genie in a lamp. If a genie says, I'll give you $10 back for every dollar you give me, how many dollars would you give the genie?
Yeah, that brings up an acronym that if you're getting into marketing, you're going to see all over the place, which is return on ad spend. So this is for how much you're spending out. For each dollar that goes out, how many dollars you get back. And that can be a really great calculation to know which channels, which campaigns are worth really turning up.
Yeah, so ask yourself these questions. Who are my clients? Where are they? Right? What's the best way to engage with them? What am I willing to pay for them? What are they worth to me? And as you start to answer those questions, you might find that it's going to be a lot easier than before to say, yeah, I'm ready now to partner with somebody who can help me scale this.
Yeah, great point. And one other important piece I want to circle back about, getting some of that event and conversion data set up is by having that in place on your individual marketing channels, you're going to also be able to help those platforms better optimize. And so there's benefits all around to getting this set up. And one more thing that I think is important to say is if you're not at a place to start with knowing your customer acquisition cost by model, maybe starting with, okay, what is my budget that I have to work with right now? What can I spend? And even if you don't have it set up to begin with, that at least is going to help you know, okay, yes, this is working, or no, it's not, if you're partnered with an agency or running some of these campaigns yourself.
Yeah, great points. I think the last thing that I'll say is really once you get to this point, you're going to have more direction and granularity on your offer clarity too, right? Because now you have a good idea of where people are coming from, where they're at, where you need to get them to, what they're worth to you, the problems that you're solving. Now it's going to be really easy for you to put out an offer that's going to latch them, right? It's going to hook them, and then you're going to be able to sell more. And ultimately, that is what we do when we help businesses scale. It's not just about saying, hey, look, we're going to do your SEO. We're going to SEO your site up, right? We want to make sure that we are boosting the bottom line, and it takes far more than just optimizing for some random keyword out there, right?
Yeah, very, very well said. It's something that a lot of marketers fail to address, and I think it's probably one of the biggest holes in a lot of agencies out there that aren't helping people get this stuff set up.
Great. We hope you guys found value in this conversation. As always, we encourage you to like and subscribe so that you can stay up on all things SEO, digital marketing, growing your business. This is the place to do it. We're RunLeadGen Radio, and we'll see you next time.